In April of 1973, the small quiet town of Enfield, Illinois became the unlikely setting for one of the most bizarre cryptid encounters in American history. What would later become known as the Enfield Monster caused terror and confusion among locals, and to this day, the creature's true identity remains a mystery. Join me as we explore the terrorizing encounter of the Enfield Monster. Beyond the dark side. The story began on the night of April 25, 1973, when local resident Henry McDaniel and his family experienced something that would shake them to their core. It was around 9:30 p.m. when McDaniel, a straightforward and practical man, returned home from a trip to town. His wife and children were already in bed, but as soon as he entered the house, his children rushed to him, terrified. They claimed to have heard something scratching at the front door, something unlike anything they had ever heard before. At first, McDaniel thought it might have been a stray dog or perhaps a raccoon. He grabbed a flashlight and his .22 caliber pistol and cautiously made his way to the door to investigate. But nothing could have prepared him for what he saw next. When McDaniel opened the door, he was confronted by a sight so bizarre it would later baffle police, cryptozoologists, and skeptics alike. Standing just outside his house was a creature that defied explanation. According to McDaniel, the creature was short, around 5 feet tall, and had 3 legs, with 2 of them used for walking and the third protruding from its chest. It had short, stubby arms with claws, and most disturbingly, its eyes were large, glowing pink in the darkness. The creature's body was covered in grayish slimy skin, and it appeared to be hopping rather than walking, moving in a manner completely foreign to anything McDaniel had ever seen. Shocked and terrified, McDaniel raised his pistol and fired several shots at the creature. To his astonishment, the bullets appeared to have little to no effect on the monster. It let out a hissing noise, a sound McDaniel would later describe as being somewhat like that of a wildcat, and then bounded away in huge leaps, covering 50 to 75 feet in a single jump before vanishing into the darkness. In disbelief, McDaniel called the local police, who responded quickly. When the authorities arrived, they could find no trace of the creature, but they did notice odd footprints near the house. The tracks were strange, resembling those of a 3-legged animal, with each print being 4 inches wide. Despite these unusual findings, the police couldn't explain what McDaniel had seen or what had left the tracks. The news of the sighting quickly spread through the small town, and soon, people from surrounding areas came to investigate. Reports of the creature began to multiply. Several townspeople claimed to have seen the strange entity over the next few days, describing a gray, hopping creature with glowing red or pink eyes. One particularly notable sighting came from a group of young boys who claimed to have encountered the monster while playing near an abandoned railroad track. They described the creature in much the same way as McDaniel had, short, with 3 legs and large glowing eyes. Like McDaniel, they were left shaken by the encounter, and the sightings continued to generate fear and fascination in equal measure. As interest in the creature grew, so did skepticism. Some speculated that McDaniel and the others had simply mistaken a kangaroo for a monster, as one had reportedly escaped from a nearby zoo around the same time. McDaniel, however, was adamant that what he saw was no kangaroo. In a later interview, he said, "If they do find it, they will find more than one, and they won't be from this planet, I can tell you that." Despite the skepticism, the legend of the Enfield Monster persisted. Paranormal investigators and cryptozoologists became interested in the case, and some even visited Enfield to try and uncover more information. One such investigator, Loren Coleman, a well-known cryptozoologist, traveled to the town to interview witnesses and examine the evidence. Coleman found the case to be compelling, and although he couldn't definitively identify the creature, he concluded that the sightings were genuine and worthy of further investigation. The Enfield Monster sightings continued sporadically for several weeks before fading into obscurity. To this day, no one knows exactly what terrorized the town of Enfield in 1973. Some believe it was a misidentified animal, while others think it could have been an alien or a creature from another dimension. Whatever it was, the monster left a lasting impression on the people of Enfield. For Henry McDaniel, the encounter would haunt him for the rest of his life. He remained firm in his account of what happened that night, never backing down despite the skepticism and ridicule from some members of the community. His story remains one of the most mysterious and eerie cryptid encounters in Illinois history. Before Henry McDaniel's encounter, there was another case of the Enfield Monster that did not get as much attention as McDaniel's incident. On the same day of April 25th, there was another sighting by a young boy named Greg Garrett, who lived nearby. Greg claimed that while playing outside in his yard, a strange creature attacked him. He described the creature as small, gray, and hairy, with glowing red eyes. The creature allegedly stepped on his shoes, tearing them with its claws. Greg, terrified, ran inside and told his parents. This happened only a short distance from McDaniel's home and just 30 minutes before his encounter. This detail ties the creature's presence to more than one person that night. While the core events of the Enfield Monster story focus on Henry McDaniel's encounter, there are additional sightings and theories that can enrich the narrative. Greg Garrett's encounter, the strange tracks, the media attention, and cryptozoologist Loren Coleman's investigation all add layers of intrigue to the case. Although no new sightings of the Enfield Monster have been reported in recent years, the story continues to be a compelling part of cryptid lore. A tale of an otherworldly creature that appeared in the darkness, terrorized a small town, and vanished without a trace. What do you think the Enfield Monster really was? If the creature wasn't a kangaroo, what could explain the three-legged footprints found near McDaniel's home? Do you think the multiple witnesses in Enfield add credibility to the story, or could it be a case of mass hysteria? What are your thoughts?